Good morning, students. My name is Robin Malik, and today I'm going to take one of your class in macroeconomics for the first two chapters in introductory macroeconomics, that is the introduction part, and some basics concepts of macroeconomics. Now, when we start with with the first chapter in macroeconomics, you can see that the first thing that we are going to start with is with the meaning of macroeconomics. Now, before we start with the meaning of macroeconomics, you will be aware of the fact that in class 11th we were dealing with microeconomics, and in class 12th we are dealing with macroeconomics. Now, since you have studied microeconomics in class 11, you know that microeconomics is the study of individual units of an economy, and while you are doing macroeconomics in class 12, it is the study of the economic problems as a whole. Now, when you talk about one unit, it is microeconomics, and when you talk of the total economy, it is macroeconomics. Apart from that, if I give you an example, let's suppose one person is earning an income, it is microeconomics, and the total national income of the country is an example of macroeconomics. This is how microeconomics differ from macroeconomics. Now, moving on further, if I talk about some of the terms that are widely used in macroeconomics, let's go with the first term, that is micro macro paradox. Now, you see the term micro macro paradox. The meaning of this term says that what is true in micro level or what is true in individual level cannot be true or might not be true in aggregate level. I am repeating again, what is true in micro level or in individual level might not be true for aggregate level. Now, let me give you an example for this. Let's suppose savings. You see, there is a tendency of every individual to save something out of their income. Now, when an individual saves some money out of his income, generally he does it for his future prosperity or for his future events, so that he can have some money if any unfortunate circumstance arises in future. But if you see, if every individual in the entire economy starts to save money, then what will happen is the flow of money in the market will reduce. Now, since flow of money will reduce, it means the flow of demand in the economy will reduce. Now, when the demand will when the demand will reduce, it means that every individual, compared to his ability, does not demand much. So, the aggregate demand in the economy tends to fall. Now, when aggregate demand falls, the people demand fall, it means the income earned by the producer starts to reduce. When the incomes of the producer starts to reduce, what will he do is he will start to produce less, and when production is less, it will rise in unemployment. So you see, when an individual saves, it is for his benefit, but when the economy saves, it leads to unemployment. So this raises to a concept called as micro macro paradox. Now, moving on further, there are some scopes and significance of macroeconomics. Well, significance of macroeconomics you can briefly understand with the terms that are over here, that what are the significance of macroeconomics. Understand one thing, macroeconomics talks about the growth and development not of an individual but of an economy as a whole. Now, whenever the country makes some programs, makes some policies, it is for the entire nation and not for any one individual. So this policies which are being made, these are being made for the growth of the economy. So this is one significance of macroeconomics. Second problem is, whatever policies are being made in our country, be it for lending rate, monetary policies, fiscal policies, what will be the tax rate, what will be the bank rate, repo rate, repurchase rate, reverse repo. I will explain the terms of each and every one later on, but understand that whatever policies the government is making, whatever the rates that are being decided, that is being decided for the economy as a whole and not for any one individual. And whenever something is decided for individuals, it is microeconomics, and whenever something is decided for everybody, it is called as macroeconomics. Now, third significance of macroeconomics is macroeconomics talks about the description of the economy, that what is the national economy, what is the status of unemployment in the total country, what is the government budget for the total economy. It reflects all the items of the economy, and whenever something is related to economy, it is called the macroeconomics. Now, moving on further, let's talk about some basic concepts, basic definitions, that is of the economy, that is final good and intermediate good. Now, try to understand the difference. Whenever an individual purchases a good, and this good is finally consumed by him, that is called as final good. Try to understand once more. This is not a definition. Let me tell you guys, I am giving you an brief understanding of the topic. The definition part of it I'll explain you. Now, when an individual buys a good and he buys that good for his own consumption, then that good is called as final good. Like for example, I go to a shop and buy some goods like suppose rice. I buy 5 kg rice because my monthly consumption is 5 kg of rice. Now I use this rice for consuming it. I do not go and sell it anywhere. I do not use it for any other purpose apart from consumption. So any good which is directly used for consumption and is not used for further production is called as final good. And any good which is not used for consumption and is used for resale, I repeat, and is used for resale or for any further production, that is called as intermediate good. And understand, the value of all final goods in the economy, the value of all final goods in economy is called as GDP MP, that is gross domestic product at market price. Now, there is another term that you should be quite aware of, and I know that you will be knowing because you might have studied this in class 11, and that term is depreciation. The term is called as depreciation. Depreciation is nothing but the fall in the value of the asset. The fall in the value of the asset. Suppose there is an asset whose value is 1 lakh rupees and its lasting period is 10 years. It means every year the value of the asset reduces by 10,000. So after first year, the value of machine is 1 lakh minus 10,000, that is 90,000. So this 10,000 by which the value of assets get reduced is called as depreciation. The fall in the value of asset is called as depreciation. Now, sometimes depreciation is expected, sometimes depreciation is not expected. But before this expectation word and all, let me tell you one thing. In macroeconomics, the word depreciation is referred by two other words, that is called as replacement cost or consumption of fixed capital. That is called as replacement cost or consumption of fixed capital. Now, coming back to what I was speaking about, that sometimes depreciation can be expected and sometimes depreciation cannot be expected. This expected depreciation, that the value of asset will always fall, is called as expected obsolescence, while at the same time when we don't know when the value of the asset will go down, that is called as unexpected obsolescence, and that is called as unexpected, let me repeat it again, it is called as unexpected obsolescence. Understand one thing, expected obsolescence is the fall in the value of fixed asset due to change in technology. Understand, expected obsolescence is the fall in the value of fixed asset because of change in technology, and it is a part of depreciation. And while unexpected obsolescence is fall in the value of asset because of some natural calamities, and it can never be a part of depreciation. Now, next term, another term, if you can see over here, is stock and flow and real and money flow. Stock and flow, real and money flow. Now let me come back first to real and money flow, and then I'll come to stock and flow. Understand one thing. In our economy, generally there are two sectors. We will study about many sectors in the economy, but for today's class, let us study about two sectors, that is households and producers. Households and producers. Households are no one else but the consumers, and producer are no one else but the producing firms. Now, so there are two sectors in the economy. One is household, that is the consumers. The another is producer, that is the firms. Now, when there is transfer of goods and services between these two sectors, when there is transfer of goods and services between the households and the producers, that is called as real flow. And when there is the transfer of money between households and producers, it is called as money flow. When there is transfer of goods and services, it is between the two sectors, it is called as real flow. And when there is transfer of money between the producers and the household, it is called as money flow. Let me explain you these terms through some diagrams. You see, you can see over here the term that is called as real flow. In real flow, you see there are two sectors of economy. One is household, the other one is producer sector or the firms. Now, what is happening is there is transfer of goods and services. You see, the producer generally produce the goods and sells it to households. The producer generally produce goods and sells to the household. So there is transfer of goods, and the households transfer their services to this producer for the production of the goods. The producer needs someone to produce their goods. This someone are called as household, who are giving the services to the producers. Now, this is about the movement of goods and services, which is called as real flow. Second, you can see money flow. Money flow is the movement of money among the two sectors. You see, households were working for the producers. Households were working for the producers. Now, and giving service. So when they work for the producers give them some payment. The producers give them payment, and this payment can be in the form of salary, wages, rent, interest, profit, anything. Whatever the payment that the household receives from producers is called as payment of factor services. And when the household receives money from producers for their work, they need to buy goods, and when they buy good, they pay money to the producer. They pay money. So at first, the producer pays money to household for the household's work, and then the households, when they receive the money from producers, they buy the goods from the producers. So there is flow of money from both ways. This flow of money is called as money flow, while the flow of service is called as real flow. At this point of time, I would like to end up this topic over here. After this, we will move on to the later part. So let me brief you again. Till now, we have talked about what is macroeconomics, what is the difference between micro and macroeconomics, what is micro-macro paradox, what is an example of micro-macro paradox, what is the significance of macroeconomics, what is final good, what is intermediate good, what is depreciation, what we mean by expected and unexpected obsolescence, and at last we talked about what is real and money flow. I hope you all will be understanding from this video. I will be providing you the notes soon. Thank you everyone.